Okay, we'll look at another example momentarily. But before we do that, let's just for a second, let's just take a step back and consider what we've seen here. So there's a bunch of new things. We've seen the view class, a new thing. So we're using this pattern where we extend the view class, but other new things as well. Specifically, these canvas and paint objects, which are important and essential to what we're trying to do here. So the canvas, I've sort of alluded to it a few times. The canvas is our surface that we draw. This canvas object is passed to us by the Android runtime. It's prepared and passed to us, ready to use, ready to start drawing by Android. And the canvas, as I said previously, the canvas class, this is where all the action is. So this is where we've got a collection. If you look in the API documentation, and I strongly suggest that you do, you'll see a large number of a fair number of these methods of this form: canvas.drawCircle, drawArc, drawRect. These are referred to, as drawing primitives. So these are what we use to actually draw. Now notice they all have a parameter list, and the parameter list is appropriate to the type of geometry being drawn. So let's take the case of a circle. We've got center X and center Y and a radius. So where's the center of the circle and what's the radius? Notice also we've got this paint object. Most, if not all, of these drawing primitives take one of these paint objects. And the paint object, you can kind of look at it as your brush. The paint object is where you define characteristics of how the drawing is going to take place. So to create a paint object, pretty easy. Paint P equals new paint. What could be easier than that? And if you look in the Paint API, you'll see there's a fair number of methods: set color, set text size, and a bunch of other things. And we will look at some of those other things down the road. For now, we're going to keep it pretty simple. In our example, we did just paint.setColor, color.red, color.blue, color.green, whatever you like. Some other things. So here's a little reference for you. I indicated that I strongly recommend you go visit android.graphics.canvas and see what you have available. These so-called drawing primitives, rectangles, paths, text, bitmaps. It's pretty powerful. This is all 2D stuff. 2D stuff. Here are the kinds of things that you'll see. Now, a moment ago, we looked at circle, and it had a specific parameter list. Here, for a line, this is canvas.drawLine. So it's similar, but it's not identical, and it makes a lot of sense that it's not identical. It depends on the geometry. So for the line, we have a starting point XY, a stop XY, and a paint. So where does the line start? Where does the line stop? What color do I want it to be? And there's all sorts of things you can do. You can do thicknesses and whether or not it's dashed. We'll save those for another discussion. Here, similarly, here's drawRect. With drawRect, we're going to take the left, the top left, and the bottom right. So we're going to take the top left and the bottom right, and that defines the extent of the rectangle, and again, the color. For a rectangle, maybe we want to have it filled in, maybe we want to have it outlined. That would be controlled by this paint object. We said that all the drawing takes place when onDraw is invoked. And again, as we saw in the comment in the example we looked at, and it's important that you know this, onDraw is invoked both automatically, and we can also cause it. We can cause it to be called. But automatically, initially when the app is launched, that makes sense. Screen rotation, we need to redraw. When it's covered and uncovered, makes sense. We want to be redrawn. That's the automatic ways. Manually, if we call invalidate, so we're going to do my view dot invalidate. That's like making a request to the Android runtime. It's like putting in your order. Please call I've got some visual updates to do. Please call my onDraw method. There's no, usually it'll happen, it'll look to the naked eye like it happens right away. Usually it will be done immediately. In some cases it might take a little time. There's no guarantee that the Android documentation points out there's no guarantee that it'll be called right away. How could you use something like this? So, for very simple animation, we could do something like this. We could cause our app to sleep, just going to kind of go into an idle state for some amount of time, 100 milliseconds or something, and then call this invalidate method. So that would be one way to do a low rate, simple animation. So let's look at an example. So here is actually the example we'll look at. This is built on the prior example with some important differences. So here's our blue circle. But notice here we've got some radio buttons. We click the radio buttons, we push this button, and you can see it causes our circle to be redrawn. So there's some important and powerful differences here. So let's take a look. This is another one of the examples I'll give you. It's called My First Draw 2. Let's first look at the activity file. So as you can see, there's a bunch of much different than the simple example we just looked at. Here we have some members, and notice we've got some regular widgets, and here is our view member. We go into onCreate here, and notice here we're back to using an XML layout file, as we're used to. So this is an important twist. Notice you can see just by looking at the app, we have a mixture of, here's our custom view, right now it's this green circle, but we've also got, some of our standard Android widgets here. So we've got a mixture of the custom view and the views, the UI views that Android supplies. And this is the power of the API. This is what gives you the flexibility to create the user experiences that you want. So here we come along, we get the view ID the normal way, and we've got an on-click listener. Now notice what's going on here. I look to see which of the radio buttons is checked, and based on this, notice what I've got. I've got my view.setColor, color.red when the red is checked. If the green is checked, color.green. If the blue, I think you got it, the blue, color.blue. Once I fall through here, here's sort of the key. My view.invalidate. This is what causes onDraw to be called. So this, rather than the automatic way, this is us manually or programmatically invoking the onDraw method. We'll go to that in a minute, but before we do so, let's just take a quick look at the XML layout file. So pretty standard up at the top here. linear layout. Here are our radio buttons. Here's a button. Here's the interesting part. So here we've actually got this frame layout after our buttons. So the frame layout is this right in here. And notice here, match parent, wrap content for the height, because we don't want to take the whole thing. If we took match parent, it would take the whole thing and we wouldn't see our radio buttons or our push button here. Notice we've got this tag on here, com.is413.myfirstdraw.myview. So notice that is the name of my package, com.is413.myfirstdraw.myview. Here we've got match parent, wrap content, and here we got our ID in the normal way. So that's what's going on with the layout file. So we've added this custom. These are views too. Remember we said all the widgets are views. These are views also. Here we've just added our custom view. And let's go to let's go to our view class, and this is very, very similar to what we had earlier with one little twist. Here we've added this method, so we've given a color, so we've given it a color attribute. We initially set it to blue. We've got a radius, we've got a paint object. Here we're drawing the circle same way. I didn't have a width and height. We put it right in here. Here's the center X, center Y. There's the radius, 100. There's our paintbrush. The difference here is we've added this one little method, and see what this does, this set color. And where does that come from? It comes from right here. When the red is checked, set color, color.red. When the green is checked, set color, color.green. When the blue is checked, set color, color.blue. So take a look at this. This is going to be out for you to use. Take a look at it. Make sure you understand it. It's pretty simple, but for the homework that we have coming, you will need to understand this. So take a look, check it out, and that'll be it for this video. We'll talk a little bit more in our next video. So thanks a lot, as always.